CoinPilot channel. To receive updates of all cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin news and views, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon below to receive notifications. Enjoy the video.
All right. They say this is the day that Bitcoin got some legitimacy, depending on your view of this sort of digital currency, or whatever you want to call it. A big debut today with the Chicago Options Exchange chairman and CEO, Ed Tilly, who found a way to see what was the potential for Bitcoin months ago, before anyone really appreciated the magnitude of what we're looking at, and to trade on it and to sort of try to get a handle on it. Day one, how's it going?
Day one is going great. So from our perspective, bringing new products to the marketplace is what we do. So in operational readiness leading into the launch last night went according to plan. All of the participants.
But it was crazy, right? I mean, everyone flooded it, right?
From an operations, actually, the trade engine wasn't flooded. Actually, was quite orderly. We traded about 3,000 contracts in the global session pre-U.S. Open. So that was really actually.
And you have built-in curbs, right?
We do. We have built-in trading halts at 10 and 20%. So we hit the first one.
That happens every other second, it seems. Right?
It's quite volatile. So after 2 minutes, halt kicked in. We were able to watch the books build, orderly reopen after 2 minutes. We reached a 20% threshold, paused for 5, watched books build, and really in the early hours of the morning saw a lot of price stability come into the marketplace. So the curbs all acted as predicted and as planned, and following this rules and the procedures.
Who's involved? Who's trading?
Yeah, so the early movers are pretty professional. We had 12 people sign into the market for the open. And when I say people, 12 known trading permit holders that we're very familiar with on our futures exchange. That number went to about 22 this morning before the U.S. Open. Again, more professionals. Now, they will be representing customers, but we don't have total transparency into that customer base at this point.
All right. Now, right from the get-go, the national value of the contracts traded in the first few hours, about 40 million against a $1.1 billion Bitcoin market.
Right.
What are we to make of that?
Oh, I think it's. I think that's pretty positive.
Yeah.
You think about never having traded this contract in a lit futures market before. There was that kind of confidence in CBOE's systems to bring this contract up. Our liquidity providers, those that are in from the open to the close, gaining comfort, trading really 1 and 2 lot contracts. I think that builds over time. Their ability to build a book depth, that is prices not just at the top of the market, but below the top of the market. Those interactions, that takes time, and I think we'll watch their confidence rise as we go in the days and weeks to come.
You know, the fear with Bitcoin from the beginning, I'm sure you've heard this many times, Ed, is that it's just a few key players who are cornering one of the greatest investment phenomenon, for good or ill, we've ever seen, and trading futures off it then enables still more nefarious characters to rig the system. How do you guard against that?
I actually think it's the opposite. So the transparency and our oversight in the futures contract is a whole lot different than the transparency that some of the global exchanges have into their end users.
In fact, your futures market seems more stable and protected for that than Bitcoin investors in the general market.
Very much so.
So that's weird in and of itself. Right?
That's, I think, the where we got such an uptake from a broader base, and I think that's what we're going to see build, is because of the stability, knowing the end customer, CFTC overseeing CFE, our exchange, and then our own regulators overseeing the day-to-day operations.
But what are they overseeing if they don't know what some of them are seeing? Right?
We do actually know our customer. And these are registered customers, so any access into our marketplace are from known players. So it's a whole lot more transparent than the individual exchanges.
All right, you're trading futures on what J.P. Morgan has called a fraud. The Chinese said it has to be super regulated. Now they just might be angry because they could be getting pushed to the curb. But you know the rap. How do you answer that?
I think for everyone that's identifying this as potential, a fraud, there are those that take the completely opposite side in that opinion. We're in the business of being able to express that opinion, and I'm going to want to pound this point in a transparent, regulated marketplace. And I think a lot of that fraud can fall away when you know your end user. We watch liquidity come into the marketplace the way we do other commodities, other securities, And again, I think confidence in that opinion may change over time.
The mood among other product groups and those who trade them over at your exchange, are they concerned? Are they angry? Or are they feeling this is eclipsing them, that all of a sudden Bitcoin's the rage, their traditional trading vehicles that are based on something that's solid, oftentimes you can actually hold it, you know what I mean, that it's going to cause ruffled nerves?
I think anytime you see an underlying move in a direction like this, and any volatility in a really a global marketplace that has not seen much volatility in the past years, certainly last year or this current year, for example, I think that captures the minds of any trader. But I don't think there is a shoot. If people weren't trading or focused on Bitcoin, they'd be trading on.
They always go to where the money is, right, or where the momentum is. So, I mean, the traditional currency traders are going to look at this as a death knell. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think so. I think this is just another trading vehicle, and cross-asset class interest is not new to the marketplace.
Well, you know what they say, at least we don't have the risk of someone trying to hack into us. They have fear that here.
Yeah, you're using also a very unregulated market as your comparison. It's interesting that you picked FX as opposed to something really highly scrutinized from an SEC or CFTC perspective. I found that interesting.
No, that is interesting. I didn't even know I did that.
You did.
But I do want to ask you, though, about that, because that is the fear with the whole sensation around Bitcoin, that nefarious players, you hear about the North Koreans, you hear about those, because it's, for a lot of people who can't grasp it, as you know, Ed, there's no there. So there's a chance for North Korea or other players to manipulate something that we can't really control.
I've heard that. I think that what we've gone through with the CFTC, and when I say we, not just CBOE, one of our competitors is launching a contract later this month.
Right. You're talking about the CME?
Yes, the
okay.
CME. Is that the readiness and I think the comfort that the CFTC got around with the process that we have with our partner Gemini, and I would imagine the same discipline around getting comfortable with the exchanges that the CME is partnered with. So I think we're at a really, really good place as far as transparency, information sharing, and that's what's really brought this contract to market. It is the months of diligence with our regulator, and I think we're in a very, very good place.
I think the regulator behind it and the fact that they're playing a role and not just being passive observers means something. But Ed, I want to ask you about, because you were onto this and the phenomenon that could be Bitcoin when others weren't appreciating the magnitude of it. And we were talking years ago when the Saudis, remember, were kicking around the idea of a basket of currencies competitive, presumably, to the U.S. dollar. A digital currency, for lack of a better term, was in the mix, like a Bitcoin today. Where do you see all of this going? I mean, is it going to take traditional currencies and pump them to the side?
It's going to take a while. I don't know that we have the winner yet in cryptocurrency. As you know, there are close to thousands of different currencies out there. We're not really endorsing just Bitcoin, but the concept of how to
technology.
Correct. How to take this concept of a cryptocurrency, standardized contract on a futures exchange that our customers already know. That's really the movement. I think part of that evolution and the maturity of bringing this contract to market is, okay, what's next? What's the next currency? Then are there derivatives on that currency? How do we mainstream this? Are there ETNs and ETFs under the SEC's watchful eye? Do those come to the marketplace?
But doesn't it have like a new flavor of vehicles and other derivative products that could be the making of, I know I'm sounding a little sensationalistic here, the next meltdown?
Boy, I don't know that I can predict that far and that this is it, that this would cause a meltdown. I actually think anytime.
So we came up with creative vehicles, mortgage derivatives and like, and this is to that ilk.
I think the level of oversight is what cures that. Much of what you're referencing there was no oversight. These are traded off exchange, not in a central counterparty clearinghouse. The contracts that we have proposed and the CME has proposed are going through a CCP. There are margins set up.
What is a CCP?
Central Counterparty Clearinghouse.
Okay.
So for the CME, it's CME Clearing, and for us, it's OCC. And there is margin, there's daily margin, and there's daily risk controls. I think what you're referencing
doesn't mean that nefarious characters can sneak in. But you do your best to try to police it.
It means that in real time, we're margining the contract appropriately. And what you saw, what you're referencing, that's happening off exchange in some dark area where there's counterparty risk, this is a different situation.
Some have called this the death of the dollar. What do you think?
I'm not there.
Okay. Ed Tilly, the CBOE chairman and CEO.